Among the many attendees at Milken, Senator Angela Alsobrooks, the Democrat from Maryland, is with us here, and it's wonderful to have you back
Thank you.
on
Great
Bloomberg
to be
TV
here.
and radio. It brings us, of course, to energy prices first and foremost. We're ever closer to $4.50 a gallon on a national level. You might have noticed 6s and 7s on the signs going by here, and California's got its own story. In Maryland, it's slightly different. I'm wondering what it means for people living in your state and what they're not spending on as a result.
Well, you know what? It's not just people in my state. What we recognize is we are headlong in a war. I mean, I think what you just read demonstrates that we have no idea how to get out of the war. Furthermore, the cost of the war is being borne by everyday hardworking people. These gas prices, you think about energy costs, the cost of groceries, all of these various costs are being borne by working class people who don't have the option of not paying it. So, you know, it's a really distressing time for us. I think it's going to be really important for us to get out of this war soon. But the cost and the affordability crisis that we're seeing is real life. It is not theoretical. It is being borne by the people we know. I see it in the grocery stores. We see it all over, and it really
Well, how about for policymakers? You're on the banking committee. What's Kevin Warsh going to do? Does he still cut interest rates when he comes in?
Well, we'll see. I mean, part of the issue is that, you know, I did not vote to support Warsh, and it's because, you know, I couldn't be sure he would be independent. I think the independence of the Fed, we know, is very important. We know the two jobs there are to make sure that we are keeping down inflation and also protecting and growing employment. And to do that means we have to have a Fed that is independent, and he dodged questions that I would ask of him. And I think an independent Fed is going to be really, really important right now when people's lives and livelihood are literally on the line in a way that we've never seen before. You know, I'm the daughter of a receptionist and a car salesman, so I understand how challenging these times are for real people. And the people who make these decisions, they don't care about the cost of gas. They're driven around, you know, it's my colleagues and others. I mean, if we're honest about it, the people who are making these decisions are wealthy people. But the people who bear the cost of all of these decisions are everyday, hardworking, middle-class people.
Senator, we talk a lot about the K-shaped economy. We talk a lot about the gaps that we have in society. Do you blame President Trump for getting in the way of access to capital or affordability issues, or is the system really the problem? Because I think it's safe to say under multiple administrations we have these gaps.
Yeah, you know what, fair enough. I think that obviously it's been exacerbated. I think that's it by any objective measure. Our country now, I think the sentiment inside our country, if you look at polling and other numbers, Americans just feel like they are further and further behind. I think objectively.
Feel, or are they further and further?
It's both. They both feel like they're behind, and they objectively are. You think about every measurement we can think of. Home ownership, for example. You know, my parents, when they married at 21 and 22, they could buy a home within 5 years of their marriage. The average age of a first-time home buyer in our country now is closer to 40 years old. You know, add to that, again, what you're talking about, the cost of just everyday living. I think that this systemic. The reason I'm here at Milken is because I believe that there's a way for us to focus on creating wealth for people. People are tired of the whole, maybe we should live to get by, maybe we can make it so you can afford your groceries. There are pathways to wealth that I am interested in making sure that as we see this whole kind of digital revolution that's happening, I think we ought to be talking about wealth, not just getting by, wealth creation, generational wealth, and those things happen, of course, again, through home ownership and taking advantage of the whole digital revolution we're seeing.
You're coming at this from a governmental approach as a senator, but you came out here to Milken to talk to private enterprise as well. How does that factor into the solution? How do you get these people roaming the halls at Milken to help you achieve those goals?
Well, we recognize there's going to have to be a partnership between the federal government and the private sector to address so many of the long-standing, to your point, these are long-standing issues, systemic issues. I know it because I came to the Senate as an executive. As a matter of fact, I'm the only part of my Democratic class who didn't come from the House. I came there as an executive. I was county executive of my county where I had to rely on sometimes public-private partnerships. We did so to build cancer centers, to build schools, and to really get our economy going. And I think that same approach is going to be really important.
I love that you said that. I think the local level is something that gets so missed in reporting. I think we try to do it really deeply here at Bloomberg, but what's happening on the ground? Having said that, you are here at Milken. The financial presence, as you know, is a big one here. It is, you know, trillions of dollars that are being managed globally. What do you want to say to especially a lot of billionaires who are pushing back, whether it's New York City or San Francisco, in cities that are are fighting taxes and so on. I mean, what do you say to them?
Well, you know what?
Who do you want to have a conversation with here?
Well, I think we should have a conversation with both. I mean, you're right. The billionaires are here. The government officials are here. The truth of the matter is that we should all be focused on making sure that we are creating additional pathways for more and more people to participate in the system. It makes us better. When we all do better, we all do better. So we're creating these pathways. And you know what? I'm here because I want to hear from all sides. You know, tell us how we can do it better. If you have some ideas about the ways that we can do things more cheaply, more effectively, how we can cut red tape, whatever we can do to make sure we're making a more robust kind of effort to include people in economic opportunity. I'm also here to listen. I have some ideas of my own, but you know what, to be effective, it means we're going to have to kind of listen to each other, and I'm here to implement those ideas in the Senate.
I spoke earlier today with the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, who's at Milken as well. The administration is on the ground here, as we've been discussing, and he talked about the cost savings that came with his decision, the administration's move to eliminate the IECC, the energy efficiency mandate that was put in place by the Biden administration. You talk about red tape. He says this takes $30,000 off the cost of a home. Is that the kind of move that you would support? Is there common ground between the administration and Democrats on this? Or is it risky to eliminate energy efficiency right now?
I think that it's risky to eliminate energy efficiency. I mean, I think we all agree that we want to have more and more efficiencies. I think that there are some things that should be adjusted. You know, it's the reason I'm on the Environment and Public Works Committee. We're looking at some of the permitting and some of the other things. There, in some instances, balance is a great word. You know, I think balance is a great word. I'm looking for what the balance is. It reminds me of what my daughter said. You know, she told me coming to the Senate, make sure you listen out for people who don't necessarily agree with you. Take up some space and find yourself at some tables having conversations where you can get to a real solution. Some of those are right in the middle. I think the fringes are where we've been hanging out. I think we're going to have to come more to the middle to find a balanced approach because, again, as I've said, these are not theoretical conversations. If we're talking about home ownership and talking about ways that we can increase the housing supply and other things, energy efficiency is going to be important, but we also have to do so in a way that is reasonable, that's not burdensome, that doesn't slow us down or prevent us from reaching the goal of getting home ownership into the hands of more and more Americans, where we know, as a matter of fact, is where generational wealth is created. So we got to listen to each other, but the balance in it, I think, is where we should be.
A lot of wealth created in the crypto market, although it goes up and down, as we know. Let's talk about the crypto bill. Last Friday, you and Senator Tillis unveiled a compromise bill, so-called, you know, got into stablecoin rewards. What's the progress on this, and when do you expect or anticipate a possible vote? And how do you deal with the ethics issue of an administration, a presidential family who has a lot of exposure investments in crypto?
So,
how do you do this
I think
fairly?
we've come a long way. I mean, I'm going to answer that question as well. But if you're asking where we are, Senator Tillis and I have done a lot of work to make sure that we are not only allowing innovation to grow, but protecting also many of the community banks that have been really important, making sure that deposit flight does not happen, that we're not allowing interest and yield to be paid solely on a balance, or that we're mimicking bank-like products without the protections of a bank. So we have been working on that, but also making sure that we are allowing innovation to grow. And we believe that I believe it's important for us to have regulated an industry that is already growing. We don't want America to be behind the rest of the world where crypto is concerned, AI and other things. And so really being at the table to make sure we're negotiating. Having said that, you're right, there's some other issues. Illicit finance, ethics, these are issues that absolutely have to be addressed. And we're working with our colleagues. I know that on our side, we have Senator Cortez Masto, Senator Schiff, and others who are working along in a bipartisan way to come up with some smart solutions so that ethics can be addressed. The larger public is...
But do the Republicans have those same concerns, those ethical concerns?
I think some do. I think that some do. You know, not all, but I mean, similar to what we found on this banking issue and the interest issue. Senator Tillis made a tremendous difference when he joined me in raising this as an issue, and we found in doing so that we have colleagues on either side who agree with us. So there are some Republicans who are concerned about the ethics issue and have said that they want to see it addressed, and I want to see it addressed.
There's nothing more powerful than a retiring Republican in the Senate right now. You're making friends with the right people. Senator, I'm curious. Look, our audience has really basic questions when it comes to clarity.
Yeah.
Is it going to pass, and is it going to happen this year? Because when you talk about it, you make it sound like there's still a pretty long road.
You know what? I think it can pass. I really do. I mean, I think we've come a long way. I hope so.
It's a full calendar.
We've had a lot of work. We've put a lot of work into this. I mean, we've been working tirelessly for months. What it will mean is we're going to have some compromise. You know, I think everyone will walk away from the clarity table just a little unhappy, both the banks and the crypto industry.
What do you compromise on, though, potentially?
Well, you know what? We've compromised and said we want the innovation to grow, but we don't want to create bank-like products without the protections of a bank. You cannot pretend to be a bank-like product without the protections.
So is stablecoin yield the biggest holdup?
That was a big holdup.
We're still there, though, right?
Well, I think we have. I think we've resolved the yield issue.
We did.
We have resolved the yield issue in a way that I think prevents evasion of the laws. Again, allows the innovation to grow. But you know, we put some barriers in place that will allow both to be a little unhappy. But I think it's a way forward.
How does it create more access for wealth creation for a broader public?
Well, generally, what we see when we see these kind of revolutions, that we see that people who are underserved generally can't get in. The only people who can benefit from them are wealthy people. In this case, when we think about small businesses who, using, for example, a stable coin, can do transactions more quickly and more cheaply, this is a change. You know, it is something that will allow businesses to grow and allow more and more people, I think.
How about for the debanked? That's where you're going here, right?
Yeah, I think for the underbanked, for the underbanked and the debanked, these are really game changers to allow more and more people to participate in a marketplace where they have been shut out before now. But again, we have to do so making sure we have the right regulation, that we have consumer protections in place, making sure we're protecting them. But for the underbanked and the debanked, this is a complete game changer to allow more and more people to get into the marketplace and to be able to participate and to make money.
I asked this of our last guest. I have no idea how much time we have because I can't hear a thing.
I think we're about 30 seconds out, so we'll keep it tight.
Number one question everybody wants to know from you, just quickly. People are asking, what are people asking?
Well, you know what? I think everyone wants to know what the way forward is. The people that I tend to serve are concerned about economic opportunity. They want to know what we're going to do to fix the place we are in our country where people are feeling really discouraged. Yeah. And I think it's by participating in things like this to work together to find those ways forward.
Great stuff. Thank you.